Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the NIRPC NDEW Virtual EV Experience. I'm Catherine Yoder, Marketing and Project Coordinator for South Shore Clean Cities, and I will serve as the moderator for today's virtual event. We are happy to have you all here and to join us for today's webinar. Just a reminder that all attendees are on listen-only mode and your microphones will be muted. Today's event will be recorded and made available on the South Shore Clean Cities resources page on your website later today. If you have any questions throughout the presentations, please type them in the question box on the panel to the right. If you have questions for a specific speaker, please address it accordingly. Each year, South Shore Clean Cities and the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, also known as NIRPC, hosts the National Drive Electric Week Electric Vehicle Ride and Drive at the NIRPC headquarters in Portage. We've moved the event to a virtual platform this year, and we are thrilled to be able to continue this tradition just in a new way with all of our attendees today. Today, you'll be hearing from presenters involved in the electric vehicle sector in a variety of ways, including Kevin Kirkham, Manager of New Business for NIPSCO, who will provide an electric vehicle 101 interview with details about electric vehicle charging options, as well as information on how NIPSCO is working to make EV charging more accessible here in the NIRPC region. We will then move to a virtual EV testimonials video from local private EV owners, including some of our NIRPC staff members. We'll then host a panel discussion with Glenn Green, Client Advisor with BMW of Schererville, and Garlan Garner, Network Operations Engineer with Tesla, talking about a variety of EV topics from a dealer perspective. Lastly, we'll bring all of our presenters back on for a question and answer session. We're thrilled to have all these speakers with us today, and we appreciate all the attendees for joining us. Before I provide a little background on South Shore Clean Cities, I'd like to launch a poll to gauge everyone's understanding of electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. We'll give it about one more second. So it looks like we have about 89% saying enough to have a conversation, which is great. Thank you all for submitting your responses. We do plan to address all questions at the end of the presentation during the live Q&A session. Please make sure to, again, to type your questions in the chat box to the side, and we'll get to as many as we can. All right, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Catherine Yoder, Marketing and Project Coordinator with South Shore Clean Cities. South Shore Clean Cities is headquartered in St. John, Indiana, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Designated as the 71st Clean Cities Coalition on June 15th, 1999. South Shore Clean Cities is one of the U.S. Department of Energy's nearly 100 Clean Cities coalitions across the country. In the last decade alone, South Shore Clean Cities members have reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 607,000 tons and displaced over 93 million GGEs. South Shore Clean Cities is a member-based coalition dedicated to promoting fuel and technology-neutral sustainable transportation and clean energy options in Indiana. We guide our diverse membership base in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to increase the use and implementation of sustainable transportation methods and infrastructure. Our programs improve air quality, promote domestic fuels, strengthen the nation's energy security, reduce dependence on imported oil, and support local jobs and the economy. How do we do that, you ask? Through partnerships like NIRPC and NIPSCO, and folks who work together to build not only our mission of sustainable transportation, but building the quality of life in Indiana. We encourage our partners to work together and build a stronger foundation for our future generations. If you have questions or would like to learn more about South Shore Clean Cities, please contact our office, or you can contact me directly. Here's my information, and I will go ahead and just a reminder to please type in your questions in the chat box on the right, and we'll get to them later today. I'd like to now introduce Kevin Kirkham, Manager of New Business with NIPSCO. Kevin is responsible for helping new customers get connected to NIPSCO infrastructure, including renewable energy programs. He was also responsible for NIPSCO's pilot electric vehicle charging station program for homeowners and public charging stations in the region. Kevin, I will go ahead and turn it over to you. You may go ahead.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Good morning, everyone. So as Catherine mentioned, my name is Kevin Kirkham. I manage our new business department at NIPSCO. I'm also a EV owner since 2018, so I drive an EV and absolutely love it. At NIPSCO, we're gas and electric for the top third of the state, and I'm happy to talk about the EV space and kind of where NIPSCO believes EVs are heading, a little bit about charging and where the direction we think is going. So with that, a quick overview of my presentation today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the EV space in general, and then zero in a little bit more on Indiana. I'm going to give a lesson on the types of charging stations that are charging levels that are available and the differences, and then talk a little bit about the charging programs we've done previously and about perhaps an opportunity that's coming along that we're hoping to move forward with. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get right into the presentation. All right, so this is an eyeful, I know. There's a lot of information on here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about high level, so you don't need to see all the details on the slide. But I'm going to start here on the left and talk a little bit about the history of where EVs are today. And this is from the United States level. So as a country, EV sales were 2% of all auto sales in 2019. So it's growing at a good clip. Really starting a little over 10 years ago, and we're up to 2% of the sales for the year. Looking forward, however, we anticipate the number of sales for EVs growing at an exponential clip. Looking out really around over the next several years, we start to kind of move from early adopters into general mainstream. And so that's what we're looking for, and trying to push the acceleration of electrification as fast as we can to get through that chasm and into the mainstream purchases. And so there's a lot of reasons that the growth hasn't already gotten there today. And some of that is the range anxiety people have from the amount of charge a current car has on a battery, as well as the number of EV charging stations. It's the cost of vehicles, as well as just the pure number of vehicles that are available. And all of these barriers are starting to come down. The price of vehicles are starting to come down significantly, and the battery range is starting to get much longer for every car. In the past, in the early years of EVs, I like to say you really only had a range of about 100 miles at most per charge of a vehicle. Now you're getting most vehicles at least into the 200 to 300 miles of range, and soon into the 300 to 500 miles of range for most EVs going forward. And the number of vehicles that are starting to come into be available are starting to increase. This graph up here on the upper right shows some of the makes and models of vehicles that will be available over the next 3 years. And so basically, within 5 years, almost every single make and model that's available will start to have some type of plug-in option, whether it's a plug-in hybrid or whether it's an all-electric version of the car. So all those barriers are starting to come down. The price is coming down, the range per charge is increasing, and the number of available number of available automobiles are starting to be available now. The one thing that's starting to be a hindrance, however, is the number of electric charging stations. And so we're really working hard to try to help improve that. On the bottom left here, it just shows that in the country, about 16% of all charging stations are fast charging stations versus level 2 stations. That's actually not a bad percentage, but just the pure numbers aren't there quite yet. So the vehicle owners have options. I'm going to get into this in another slide, but there's different options for fast charging or level 2 charging or just your slowest charge, which is a normal plug. And so the more plugs that can be available at a faster charge, it will help that adoption curve even more. So hopefully we can get more charging stations installed and therefore hit that last kind of barrier that's hoping to help increase that adoption. So with that said, I'm going to move on to a little bit closer look at Indiana. So in Indiana, there's about 2.3 registered vehicles in the state, of which 6,600, this is as of beginning of 2020. So 6,600 of those vehicles are plug-in EVs, which represents about 0.28% registered EVs. This is really behind the average for the country. Indiana's a little bit slower. The whole Midwest actually is pretty slower. And you compare it to the Illinois, which is our kind of neighboring state, especially being so close to Chicago. The percentage is close to Illinois, but the number of vehicles is lagging behind just because of the population and total number of vehicles in the state. But when you look compared to the national average, we're pretty far behind. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of them is there's a lot more incentives as a state level. Like if you go to California, you also have the ability to drive in the HOV lanes, which helps increase the adoption as well. But we're hoping to increase the Midwest as well as just move forward in Indiana. I was going to mention in particular in Indiana, currently there's only 18 DC fast charging stations in the state, of which 14 are Tesla stations. So I'll get this into the next slides, but there's different types of charging, as I mentioned. One is fast charging. Within that fast charging option, there's 3 different types of plugs that are available. There's a CHAdeMO plug, which is mainly used for, that started out as just the Nissan Leaf as offering that plug. And then there's also the standard kind of regular plug that most of the regular manufacturers are also using. And then there's the Tesla only plug that is only used for Tesla stations. So 14 of the 18 are only allowed for Tesla vehicles. And so hopefully we'll be introducing more fast chargers in the near future so all vehicles have the ability to charge on the road. So as I mentioned, there are 3 different levels of charging. There's level 1, level 2, and the DC fast charging, also known as level 3. So the level 1 is the basic outlet that everyone knows. They have, many of these in your houses today. It's your just normal 120 volt outlet, which is great because there are plenty. They're available everywhere. So you can plug in your car anywhere that there's an outlet. The downfall for level 1, however, is the amount of range that you're getting and the time frame that you're able to charge. So level 1 is your slowest charge. You're only able to get between 2 and 4 miles of range for every hour you're plugged in, which means that if you want to drive 40 miles, you probably are going to have to plug in for about 10 hours, which really for some people it makes sense, and that's all they need to drive in a given day. But others, they need much faster charge, so they're going to move forward to a level 2. You can install level 2 at your house. There's also many level 2 plugs, as you'll see soon, that's available in the community. A lot of workplaces have level 2s being installed, and these are much faster charged. It's a 240 volt outlet, so it'll be similar to your gas dryer that's in your house. So it takes a higher capacity charge to charge your car. And so in a level 2, you're able to get between 16 and 25 miles of range for every hour you're plugged in. So if you're going to drive 100 miles, now you only need to be plugged in for about 4 hours, which now makes it a lot more accessible to be able to have a regular commute going back and forth. For those that don't have access to a charging spot at home or at work, they tend to rely more on DC fast charging options now. So these are, for a lot of travel, if you're going on a long commute, like if you're driving across country, or if you live in an apartment complex that don't have the option for you to install a home charging station, then you're going to rely on these DC fast charging options, as I mentioned. They're a lot quicker, and they try to emulate what you're getting at the gas station, but it's not quite that fast yet. There's different levels of DC fast charging coming out, but basically it starts at a 50 kilowatt a level, and then it's going up to about a 300 kilowatt charging station for the fastest charge. But basically, when I try to think of DC fast charging, you basically are going to get at least 100 miles in under 30 minutes, sometimes maybe up to 200 miles, depending on how high capacity that station is. So it's a lot more accessible. So you can pull into one of these DC fast charging stations, go to the restroom or get a coffee, and then come back in a couple of minutes, and then you're basically ready to go again. All right, the next slide talks a little bit about what we've done in the past for level 2 charging stations. NIPSCO ran a in-charge around town program with the help of many partners, including South Shore Clean Cities, ChargePoint, and MCOR Higher Electric and PH Current, to install and incent level 2 charging stations around towns and communities. And so we were very excited about this program. It was a huge success. We're able to install at 69 locations, 80 stations at 69 locations, a station being a dispenser, and each dispenser can serve 2 vehicles. What was nice about this is we provided incentives for the free level 2 charging station. Each one is valued around $6,000. I think you can get it cheaper now, probably under $5,000. And then we also provided 50% of the installation cost up to $2,500. So what the success was that we're able to get these out into the public and install. So it's actually a pretty good, especially here in Northwest Indiana, opportunity for people that don't have access to home charging to go to their public charging stations and charge at that level 2 rate. That was level 2. I'm excited that there's an opportunity that's coming, and I almost wish this was about a month from now, because we'll know the results of this. But VW, as you might be aware, had what was cheater devices that was installed originally in their diesel vehicles, and they got caught, and then they had to pay some penalties and come up with some funding to make it right. And so Indiana got a grant from this VW settlement of about $41 million, of which $5.54 million is going to be allocated to help incent DC fast chargers in the state of Indiana. And another $600,000 is going to be incentive for level 2 charging stations. The application process to receive those grants closed last month, or earlier this month, I should say. And the awards will be announced at the end of October. And so we'll know soon where this money is going to be directed, but I'm happy to say that NIPSCO, in association with the other electric utilities in the state of Indiana, put in an application to use that DC fast charging grants and to supplement it with about another up to $9 to $10 million of utility funds to hopefully install a statewide program to help install DC fast chargers. As you saw from the previous charts, that's the last kind of big barrier that we think that will help increase the adoption for electric vehicles. And so for NIPSCO, our portion of that application was to install, or is to install, 10 locations of charging stations, and these are draft locations. And we still have to get the award, like I mentioned, will be announced at the end of October. So if that award goes to the utilities, then these are the types of stations that would be installed, and roughly where the locations roughly will be located. You'll see on the very right-hand side here, kind of an overall map of where we think the stations might look like throughout the state of Indiana. And up here in the upper left is where roughly the stations might go for NIPSCO's territory. And I'm sorry, these blocks here don't have the words that seem to pop. But basically, that basically says that each station is going to have at least 2 dispensers, and each dispenser would be a minimum of 120 kilowatts, basically, of capacity. So it's a pretty fast charging opportunity for customers to be able to come in and plug and go. And the goal is to have kind of a similar design throughout the state, so everyone's able to have that same experience as we move forward with installing DC fast chargers throughout the state. So that's the exciting opportunity that presents itself, and we're looking forward to receiving information on who actually wins the award, and we're very hopeful that it's the utilities are in that mix and we can get these DC fast charging stations installed over the next 2 years. So if the word comes to the utilities, then these would be installed over the years 2021 and 2022. And with that said, I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine.
Thank you, Kevin. That was a great presentation. We are very excited to see the future of electric charging in Indiana, and we're very thankful to have a partner like you and NIPSCO and NIRPC. If anybody has questions for Kevin, please put them in the chat box. But we'd like to move on to the electric vehicle owner testimonials. This will be part of the EV virtual ride and drive. You'll hear from Mitch Barloga of NIRPC, who drives a Hyundai Ioniq, Scott Weber of NIRPC, who drives a Tesla Model 3, Dana Habel, a resident of Carroll Stream, Illinois, who drives a Nissan Leaf, and Joe O'Rourke of Crown Point, Indiana, who drives a Tesla Model 3. Let's see what these EV owners have to say about driving an EV.
Hi, my name is Mitch Barloga, and I'm proud to present to you my Hyundai Ioniq. It is a hybrid vehicle, and I've had this since 2018, a couple years now. I travel about 25 miles one way to work each day, so 50 miles round trip, well, at least pre-COVID. And I have to say that having this car has been an amazing benefit to me financially, and of course just the benefits that it also provides to the environment, and that it kind of keeps me from adding any additional pollutants to the air. It makes me feel great as well. But it gets about maybe 50 to 55 miles per gallon. It's as quiet as can be. When you back up, it actually has a beep, so it alerts people that it is backing up, because of course people can't hear it. It's kind of maybe one of the small problems with it, but it's a minor one. So very happy to own this car, very proud of it, and I am looking forward to having a full electric car in the future.
Hi, I'm Scott Weber, and I'm here to talk about my Tesla Model 3 and why I absolutely love the car after owning it for 1 year. I will never go back to driving a gas-powered car after making the switch to an electric car, and here's why you should too. First of all, you might think that an electric car is a lot more expensive than a gas-powered car. But think again. Okay, maybe the upfront price for an electric car is a bit more. But that's just the upfront price. I saved over $3,000 in tax credits, which effectively makes that upfront price much lower. And also think about this. The operating costs of actually owning the car over time are a lot less for an electric car than for a gas-powered car. For example, for me to charge my car from 0 to 100% only costs me $9.75 in utility fees, compared to easily twice that much, $20 or more for a gas-powered car, even at $2 a gallon. So think about how much money you save just over time. Plus, I never have to get my oil changed or my transmission flushed. But the best thing that I love about electric cars is the thrill of driving one. The instant acceleration that you feel by just even slightly pushing on the gas pedal or the accelerator pedal is just amazing. You'll never go back.
Hi, I'm Dana, and I own a 2015 Nissan Leaf. I purchased my Leaf about 2.5 years ago for under $15,000, and it had less than 3,000 miles on it. So basically like a brand new car for a very reasonable price. had been obsessed with the Nissan Leaf since I first saw it at the Chicago Auto Show back in 2010. My Nissan Leaf has a posted mileage range of 107 miles. With my driving, I probably get about 80 miles max when driving locally, and about 60 miles on the highway with posted speed limits of 70 miles an hour. There are two main reasons, or two main factors that affect your driving range. The first one is environmental factors. The second one is your actual driving habits. In regards to environmental factors, extreme cold temperatures and extreme warm temperatures adversely affect your driving range. Be similar with a gas-powered vehicle. Also, heavy rain, high winds, snow, ice, etc. It's going to adversely affect your range. I found that my Leaf generally likes temperatures in the mid-60s. So in the Chicago area, that's typically your spring and your fall will be my best ranges. In regards to my driving habits, I picked up a couple tips from fellow EV owners, and that's drafting behind trucks when I'm on the expressway. That helps enormously to actually so that I can get a little bit better range on the highway. And I've also learned that you can shift between neutral and drive. You can do this on hills, you can do it, you know, wherever you want, and it's interesting. It does help with the mileage quite a bit. My Nissan Leaf does have two charging ports. First one is the standard level 1 or level 2 charging port. With that one, I can charge with a 110 outlet in my garage overnight and be fully charged. Can also charge at various level 2 charging stations. There's quite a few free ones at outdoor malls, government centers, park districts, fitness centers, movie theaters, etc. And then I also have the Fastport charger, which is a CHAdeMO charger. And with that one, when I'm doing the highway trips, I can charge in about 10 to 12 minutes, and I could be 80% charged using that Fastport. I often take my vehicle between the Chicago suburbs and Southwest Michigan, and that's a trip of 101 miles each way. And I can usually do that in just one charging stop for an extra 10 to 15 minutes on my route. So actually not too bad. Overall, I have loved my Leaf, and I will probably keep this for a couple more years and then buy a used newer one that has a longer range. But for now, I love it. Thank you.
My name is Joe, and I'm from Crown Point, Indiana. I am inside of my Model 3 right now, 2019. I got it in June of 2019. It's my first electric car. I had a gas car, a Mitsubishi Galant, and a Honda Civic before that. And I love it. I would never go back to a gas car. My wife currently has a gas car, but we're thinking maybe with her next car we're going to go electric, whether it's Tesla or something else. In our house we actually have everything electric at this point. Electric battery operated power tools, battery operated lawnmower, snow blower, leaf blower, weed whacker. Everything we got right now is electric, which is cool. I came into electric cars because I really like the technology. That was the main thing. I mean, obviously being great for the environment and everything is a plus, but I'm really came at this from a tech angle. I was a big fan of Nikola Tesla growing up, doing research papers on the man and all his inventions and everything. So when I was doing research one time in 2008, I had came across the prototype for the Roadster, and that kind of got me interested in thinking of electric cars as something a lot cooler than they had been at that time. So I kind of followed Tesla since 2008 when the Roadster came out, and just became a huge fan ever since then, and kind of said it was my dream car that I would eventually own a Tesla. So in 2012, when they came out with the Model S, it started to get obviously a lot lower and barrier to entry for price points. It was a really cool car, a really fast car. They really changed the way people thought of electric vehicles. And then when they announced that they would do the $35,000 car, that's when I really realized it could become a reality. So I just started saving up my money and just really focusing all my energy towards getting this car eventually, and after about 3.5 years or so of saving up, I was able to afford it, and it's been awesome. I love it. It looks like I'm at 15,000, just under 15,000 miles right now, and I would never go back. I usually charge at Meyer. Meyer has a supercharger, and I'm actually able to charge there for free. But if I need to, I can charge at home. We've done plenty of road trips before, all the way to South Carolina. We've done some down in Nashville. We just got married in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and we use the supercharging network all the way down, all the way up. So we've really had no issues doing road trips. It takes a little bit longer because you got to stop and charge every now and then, but it's worth it to travel for free, essentially, and do it in a car like this. Speaking of getting married, this is actually my wedding ring. It's a key to the car. The Tesla uses, or at least my Tesla uses, the phone as your main key card, or as your main entry, but then also you get a little key card, and that key card has an NFC tag in it. And basically in this ring I have that NFC tag, so when I come up to the car and I just put my hand near it, it unlocks the car, and I can drive the car with just my ring, which is pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, I can't wait for electric cars to become more popular, and for my wife to get one, and friends and family, and I think this is definitely the way to go, whether it's Tesla or any other car. There's so much competition coming out right now, and I love to see it. And yeah, I can't wait for the future of electric vehicles. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate our EV owners for their testimonials. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. We'd now like to turn things over to the electric vehicle panel discussion featuring Glenn Green, client advisor with BMW of Schererville, and Garlan Garner, network operations engineer with Tesla. Thank you both for joining us today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
One second. All right, so let's go ahead. I have a question for Garlan. Tell us a little bit about Tesla and the EVs that they have on the market right now.
Currently, Tesla has, everyone can hear me, I hope. Currently,
yep, we can hear
Tesla has four, thank you. Currently, Tesla has four vehicles that they sell: the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model X, the Model S. I've been with them for 4 years, and I'm on the, I was on the charging team, and now I'm on the full self-driving team. And it's been great so far. The model, so they have a Model S, which is their largest sedan, and the Model 3, which is their smaller sedan. They also have a Model X, which is the larger SUV, and the new Model Y, which is their crossover SUV. So the price point on the Model 3 and the Model Y are pretty much the same, and the price point on the Model S and the Model X are pretty much the same. The Model 3 and the Model Y coming in around starting price of $37,000 to $40,000, and the Model X and the Model S starting around $60,000. And larger cars, most of the features are the same.
Awesome. And what kind of vehicle do you drive currently?
I currently drive a Model 3. It's a 2018, and I have 81,000 miles on it. I do a lot of driving.
Awesome. All right, Glenn, tell us a little bit about your role with BMW and what you're doing with EVs.
Hello, everybody. I'm Glenn Green, and I work at BMW in Schererville. I've been with BMW Schererville for 10 years exactly now. And as far as our electric cars and EVs, plug-in hybrids, we launched 2014 was the first time that they introduced i8, i3. So I've been involved from the beginning, which has been kind of fun, and learned a lot since then and seen our model lineup grow. But again, I'm a client advisor at the store, so I'm involved in sales and really trying to spread the word for these cars, which are really excellent, and not enough people know about them.
And what would you say for people who are looking to get an electric vehicle? How would you guys be able to help them out?
I would say, again, at the dealer level, it gives them the opportunity to start, ask those questions and find out, take test drives on them. I really enjoy giving people the opportunity to take them overnight, over the weekend, and really experience the pros, the cons, anything that, depending on each client, what their needs are. So we'd always be happy to get people in the cars overnight and show them what's not to be afraid of as far as range anxiety. And I always encourage them to maybe even take it along their work route, see how it works for them. And again, with BMW plug-in hybrids being their focus right now in North America, that range anxiety is really nothing to worry about. But it's a good place to start for even a client that wants to end up being full electric.
Definitely. And I know, and I want to thank both of you. You both have participated in the National Drive Electric Week event for the last several years that we've hosted it. I know you guys have talked with plenty of people and have really shared your experiences, and we appreciate you for that. What would you say is the biggest misconception about EVs? And that could go for either one of you.
Well, currently, one of the I guess you say most surprise facts that people consistently get is how far the cars can actually go. There's range anxiety that Kevin spoke of a little earlier. How far the cars can actually go, because EVs didn't start out getting 300 miles to a charge, and you know how and I guess how many charging stations are actually out there. Surprise, folks. It's only getting better from here.
For my clients, it's always been at first the range anxiety, and BMW, when they came out with their i3 model, it was really an urban car. It wasn't meant to go cross country. Original cars had 70 to 110 miles of range, and it was a great commuter car. They did the math on it, and they found most clients are only going to go about 30 miles round trip. So that's where they focused their range at. And again, as the electric grid grows, you know, they can obviously go longer range, and it's really been for the clients to figure out where their range, what their range is, and then will this car work for them. And I've always been upfront with my clients to make sure that I don't want to sell you a car to give you bad expectations that just aren't true. So I've always been upfront from the get-go for the last 6 years, and I have a lot of clients that work really well for, very few that it didn't. But now, again, with really BMW's push to plug-in hybrid, that's going to, I think, be a game changer for us. And they're really just putting the focus on there with 4 new models. So we're excited.
Awesome. And forgive me if you already answered this, but are you able to get any of these make and models? Are they readily available? Are they at the dealerships? Where would people have to go to get them?
With my models that we have, 4 models, 7 Series, 3 Series, X5 SUV, as well as X3 SUV. Those are all in production now. The SUVs are made right here in South Carolina, and most of the time those are only a 3-week turnaround from whatever way you want to build it and configure it. The sedans still come from Munich, and the plants out there. So those are about an 8-week turnaround, but yeah, readily available. And again, price point, not too much more than a gas engine, just slightly higher on the base models for the plug-in hybrids.
Yeah, on Tesla side, you'll probably notice one thing that's interesting is we don't have a lot of dealerships. They call them stores, Tesla stores, and Tesla has been switching to a new model of delivery. If you wanted a car, you can, or wanted to test drive the car, there's an opportunity now to go to Tesla.com, indicate which model that you want, or you want to test drive, and they deliver it to the house, to your home. So your home will be your test drive location. And then you drive it, much like what Glenn said. I think the best opportunity for those to see a car or to understand what it's like, or charge it, drive it, move it, and see how it fits what you would like. Also, the same holds true for repair as far as Tesla is concerned. If your car notices that there's an issue, it'll schedule an appointment, put it on the screen, ask you if the data is okay, and you just leave the car in the driveway, and Tesla will come out to your home for repairs. We're trying to, make it not remove the requirement to interact with the dealership, and you can stay at home, which is working out great for us during this time that we're in right now.
Yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity for people with, the current times. So you guys are ahead of the curve. Who is your typical EV owner? Who usually comes to you guys for these vehicles? Is it, all different ages? Is there a certain age range?
The owners that I'll run across will be really a wide variety, younger generations, retirees. It really, I would say, that what if you ask me what first comes to mind, it would be, even recent retirees that really don't have a commute, don't have to worry about, getting to work every day, and can experiment with the cars and have the ability. Usually it's a second car. I have several clients that have full electric i3s as their only vehicle. A lot of those live in the city and commute in the city, but also have clients that have the plug-in hybrids. That I have one client that has a plug-in hybrid 5 Series, and she utilizes that for her commute across town, and rarely ever turns the gas engine on because of the short range that's available with electric only in the PHEV. She's able to do it the complete journey on that. So she sees great results, and it's, again, across the board, it's all kinds of clients that are coming in, all ages, all demographics, all types of people.
Yeah, for us, we found that our first 2 cars was the Model S and Model X, and they were what some would consider an expensive car. So our clients were predominantly retirees and those who, I guess you could say, could afford one. As the price has gone down with the Model 3 and the Model X, we found that the age group's moving down as well, as far as those who are purchasing them and also now leasing them. But that's, as Glenn indicated also, that our age groups span, especially, but not so much all on the age groups, but the different types of clients. Now that our cars can go over 350 miles, we're getting people who used to do cross country and in an ICE vehicle, and now they're not concerned anymore about doing cross country in an EV. For instance, I go to Memphis. I reside in the Chicagoland area, and I oftentimes go to Memphis for business, and I have to stop twice for 14 minutes, and I'm all the way in Memphis, and I pass up 9 charging opportunities. I only need 2 to get to Memphis, Tennessee. So that has changed our clientele to where now people who do state travel, and people who drive to Canada don't have that range anxiety anymore.
Yeah, one more thing. I find that my electric only clients, i3 customers, they're already a electric vehicle owners, and they've you know, a lot of knowledge about the cars, whereas I can really sell somebody on the idea of a plug-in hybrid because it's just, again, without range anxiety. So we're able to turn on a lot of new people to plug-in hybrids, you know, that didn't think that it was a good idea for them, but all they really needed to have shown to them what it could do.
Okay, thank you. And we probably already know this answer, but what is the biggest learning curve that you find when people first purchase their EVs?
I would have to say charging. Well, there's two things that I'm questioned about all the time. It's charging, whether it be at home. Do you have to install anything special at home? With a Tesla, no, you just plug it in the wall. There's nothing required to, whether it be a 120 or 220, 240. The Teslas come with the ability to plug right into the wall. Now, there is a Tesla charger that you can purchase for your home, but it only increases the charging time by about 12%, which most people just get home and charge their car overnight and charge up. The other one is the full self-driving. That's the team that I'm on right now. I have object recognition and various other things like that. You know, when I'm on the road, can the car drive itself? The answer is yes, and you have to give a full explanation of what that means, and where the limitations are, and where the advantages are.
For our clients, there's the biggest question again is, and the first question is how far will it go, and then really the technology is somewhat intimidating, that it's any harder to operate than an average car, and especially with our plug-in hybrids, there's one button that's different in the whole car, which lets you select what type of electric driving that you'd like to do. Do you want to save your electric miles till whenever you want them? You can go max, which, you know, most of our hybrids or all of our plug-in hybrids, they'll have a range, the current generation, anywhere between 20 to 30 miles of electric only. So for just going out and doing errands is great, but biggest question, how far does it go? And, you know, is it any different to operate than a regular car? And technology in every car, I don't think across the industry is gotten better, and it's gotten easier to work. They're no longer, you don't have to go to space camp to learn how to drive these cars anymore, because they're pretty easy. Things like voice activation and just a lot less buttons and more like tablet screens that people are dealing with between, I think, all of our models.
Thank you. Do you either of you see any barriers in the EV market, any challenges that you're facing with selling vehicles, or getting people to kind of understand it better?
Any barriers to getting to understand EVs better? Is that the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, are you guys facing any barriers?
No, there's some challenges out there in my group inside of Tesla, where we are going back and forth to say, okay, how far is an acceptable range? Is 600 miles? Well, not say acceptable range. Is 600 miles something people are willing to pay for? So let's just say right now we're introducing a new battery technology right now to where it can get 640 miles. But do you want to, for that price, I mean, for that feature, do you want to pay 20% more in the vehicle? So we're going back and forth internally, but I don't find that to be an issue anymore with the cars getting 300 to 400 miles. That used to be a challenge, and now it's not a challenge.
At BMW, we had kind of a relaunch of our electric and plug-in hybrid program about a year ago. With the launch back in 2014, we did the i8 and the i3, i8 being a plug-in hybrid and the i3 being a full electric, and then available with a range extender. A lot of those, they built a lot of them, nationally lot of people saw in the news, they gave them to the Los Angeles Police Department to use, and they tried to get municipalities involved with them. But a lot of people, just because it was a BMW in North America, at least, BMW North America versus the rest of the world is a luxury car. So a lot of municipalities didn't want to buy a luxury car, and that's kind of been a barrier for me, is when a lot of people are shopping for electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids. We're a luxury manufacturer in North America, so a lot of people don't give us consideration. But in my heart, I think every car is expensive nowadays because of what's in them. They're more expensive to make, and things go up in price. But I think what BMW has done with the relaunch is really focusing on plug-in hybrids for North America, which is a great idea. I'm sold on them. I get to drive pretty much everything we make, but currently I am driving a plug-in hybrid X5, and I don't have a big commute to work. And most days I just do it on electric only, and it's I'm a fan, and I think a lot of people that are drivers or commuters could really benefit from a plug-in hybrid. But the only barrier that we've had has really been is sometimes just getting people again at BMW to forget about the price, because we're in line with a lot of the other manufacturers, and you're getting a wonderful car too.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you both. I'd like to now move on to the final Q&A. Kevin, if you'd like to turn your webcam back on and join us again. We do have some questions. If anybody does have additional questions, please type it in the question box to the right-hand side, and we'll address them in a minute. Kevin, are you still with us?
Hi, Catherine. Yes, I am on. My webcam seems to be not sharing, however, but I am on and can hear you.
Okay, no problem. All right. First question we have here is, and we can address that for Kevin, or any one of you. Can you address the total cost of ownership benefits of electric vehicles versus traditional gasoline vehicles?
Sure. Well, this is Kevin. I'll go ahead and start. This is kind of in general buckets, but your upfront cost is going to be slightly higher, as both Glenn and Garlan mentioned. But there's a lot of advantages over the life of the vehicle, because you don't have to have oil changes. This is for all electric vehicles, by the way, not the hybrids. You don't have to have oil changes. You don't have to have transmission fluids. Basically, the only wear and tear on the vehicle is your windshield wipers, your brakes, your tires. So there's a lot less moving parts in that all electric vehicles. So over the life of that vehicle, you're saving, as well as the main part, which I forgot to say, which is your fuel. And so, as I think Garlan even mentioned, or maybe it was one of the videos that we saw, I think it was your electric price, even if you're charging at home at full electric rates, is probably only around 40% of what you're paying at the gas pump in general, even at $2, a little over $2 a gallon. So as the fluctuations in gas go up, that savings could even be even higher. And if you're able to plug in at some of the free stations, your electric or your fuel basically becomes free for a lot of places. So there's in that total cost of ownership, I think it starts to sway in the all electric favor over the life of the vehicle, compared to a similar model, a luxury car that you're comparing that vehicle to.
Kevin hit it right on the head. That's with the fuel savings. We've tried to, with hybrids and electric vehicles being somewhat variable as far as, what type of, because depending on weather conditions and things like that, you'll have a lot of variables that come into it. So it's really hard to do just a nailed down number. But in general, and what I've told my clients over the years, and from what I've found, and just from listening to my clients, I'm under the assumption of what we found is almost a 70% savings versus same gas car versus a electric vehicle, say the i3, of the cost of ownership is, it seems to be 70% less. The upfront costs and charging stations, those are variable depending on which one you choose. And then again, free charging stations versus pay charging stations. We're lucky in Northwest Indiana to have a lot of free stations handy, so that helps.
And one of the other things that I was surprised about, and I agree with everything that Kevin and Glenn said, one of the things I was most surprised about this year are the fact that insurance costs are coming down. I don't know if insurance companies are now realizing, that as far as an accident or what have you. And I heard from a person who at Allstate who indicated that, like on a Tesla, you get hit in the front, you get hit in the back. There's no parts. There's so fewer parts that the repair costs are dropping, or they're a lot lower. I was surprised at that. So those are things like that are coming down as well on insurance.
All right, next question. What is the cost of replacement batteries for the car?
For most of our cars, replacement costs on the batteries, and here's a crazy statement I'm going to make. We really haven't seen them. They've only been out 6 years. I've only seen one car get a battery replaced, and the way the BMW batteries work, there's multiple cells. If you can imagine multiple different batteries that if one goes bad, they can determine which cell it is, drop the battery case, pull it out, replace it. So again, the actual price to that, I apologize, I can't tell you a dollar figure, only for the fact that it's not very common right now that we're changing any batteries on any of the cars, whether it be plug-in hybrids or the electric vehicles. They're just not old enough yet.
Yeah, I would agree that the cars aren't old enough, and that extends to many of the EVs that are out there. It doesn't matter if it's a Tesla; they're just not. As a matter of fact, Tesla started selling cars in 2012. There's a guy that has a 2013 Model S in California. He works in California and he lives in Oregon, and he drives that commute quite often, almost 3-4 times a week. He has 1.2 million miles in his car. He's only got 13% degradation on the battery so far, so he's still going. But we don't with a 13% degradation on range. He started out with 210 miles. Now he gets 180 miles to a charge. But that's a 2013 car. But if you just opted and you wanted to do it yourself on a Tesla Model 3, the replacement battery cost is $5,200. But that right now you just have to volunteer to want to spend that money. I mean, there's really no need to. Most Tesla Model 3s and Model Ys and a lot of the Model Xs haven't even gone past their warranty yet.
Okay. Regarding mileage capacity that you guys were talking about with range, does that include the use of the radio, charging your phone, headlights, heat, things like that? Do you have any insight for that?
Yeah, the full electric vehicles, I always tell my clients, you're like you're flying an aircraft, because what you have on board is what you have to work with. So in the springtime, I rarely ever turn on the heating and air conditioning, just because I'm always looking for a lot of range. I'm always playing a game, with it personally to see how much I can get and when I can get. But your range is down in the wintertime, and that's going to be with any electric vehicle. But that being known ahead of time, people plan ahead. I take, trips back and forth from the Schererville area, even out to the Clean Cities events in Michigan City, and we're able to take our cars out there in the middle of winter in February to the big event. And I'm always surprised there's how much range is left on it. So with the batteries, every year they're getting better and better and better as far as what the total range is. Every generation it gets bigger and bigger. And as far as different conditions, weather, extreme heat, extreme cold, that's going to be with any battery. And I think most of my owners get it, and they understand that when they come out, and if it's 5 degrees outside don't expect full range to be available to them.
Yeah, I would have to agree that the temperature makes a big difference. And we do have some suggestions, like the first step, in a cold environment, is to turn on the heated seats over turning on the ventilated air. Heated seats use a lot less energy than heating the cabin and things of that nature. But I do it all in Chicago. We have a large, and in Schererville we have a large range of temperature. And so far my personal experience is that I've lost maybe 11% last winter on a very cold day that's 11% of range. So instead of 320 miles on my Model 3, I was getting somewhere around 306 when I used the heat, traveling for an hour every day.
You also too have the option that you can do some preconditioning while it's still hooked up to the charger, so that you're not really going off of the vehicle. So depending on a person's setup, whether they were in their garage or whether they were outside, but the preconditioning while you're already hooked up to the charger is pretty handy, and that'll heat up or cool the car, depending, maybe 15 minutes before you get in the car. I know with my i3s that I drive, if I'm in the wintertime and there's some snow outside, I can go ahead and do the preconditioning, have the car defrosted 15 minutes before I ever get out there, all by just the application on the telephone that you can use. So with the technology that you use, and if you work smart, you can get around a little bit of the cold and the heat.
And this is Kevin.
No matter if it's a BMW or a Tesla, whatever it is, one thing that's great about EVs is you can precondition the car in the garage with the door closed, so there's no exhaust. And a lot of people use that feature. And you can wake up, go on your app, turn on your heat, and let the car heat up inside the garage.
Yeah, there's no motor to warm up.
Cool off. Yeah, or cool off. You can turn on the air remotely as well.
And this is Kevin. I'll just go ahead and add perhaps some comment to the last two questions, is that I agree with everything that Garlan and Glenn just mentioned. As an EV driver for the last 2 years, yeah, I do get a little bit of less range in the winter, but I have plenty of range in my car to do my normal commute, so I'm not really worried about it. But one thing as an EV driver that I was told, and maybe Garlan and Glenn can comment on this, and it's something I practice, is you can not degrade your battery nearly as much by not always charging to the very peak. And so if you have a range of 300, like in my car, I have a range of 320 miles normally. However, I normally only keep my battery at about 85 to 90% of that. So in charging that last couple, and don't let it go the last 5% either and go all the way down, staying in that midpoint range of between 10 and 90% helps the extent of the battery, keep the life of that battery to the longest ability.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Going to 80% of whatever the range of your vehicle is what save the battery's degradation tremendously, and not discharging all the way down past 10% would also help.
Yeah, most clients in their daily commutes, they never exhaust the battery. It's always going to come back home with charge in there. So they may only use half of that charge. So either they won't charge when they get home and they'll wait till it's down a little bit more, but to try to optimize the charging, 80% is a great idea.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. This question is for Kevin. Regarding the stations that you were talking about earlier, the future stations, will these be free to EV drivers, or will there be a fee? And I know that there's probably multiple questions to that, but if you can kind of highlight that.
Sure. So these stations are rather expensive to install. As a DC fast charging station with 120 kilowatts of capacity. So if they are approved and we do move forward with the installation of them, we would be charging a fee for them. That fee is yet to be determined, and what that would be, but it would be market price based. So it wouldn't be any more, let me put it this way, it wouldn't be any more than what you would be paying at the pump for gas for that charge, for the convenience of being able to top off. And as I mentioned, probably as an EV driver and what I've seen in the marketplace today, with few exceptions, and those being those that owners that don't have access to home or workplace charging for the most part, typically we expect 90+% of your charging to come at home or at work. And only 5 to 10% of your charging to be at these fast charging stations. You know, every driver is a little different, but in general, over the population of EV drivers, that's about what we expect. So for the average person, you only are stopping at these stations when you're on long commutes or you don't have access to those home charging opportunities.
Okay. And then I have a second question for you, Kevin. I know that you do have workplace charging options at the NIPSCO facility. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that works for your employees?
Sure. So for NIPSCO, we have obviously several locations. And so some of the locations, we have one dual port station, and our corporate headquarters, we have 6 dual port stations, so they can charge up to 12 vehicles. We do have over 12 employees that regularly charge, plus we have people from the public that come in and charge. We keep these in our parking lots today that are open for the public. So as a workplace charger, at least our belief on this is it's open to the public to use. It's a first come, first serve. It's not a reserved spot for employees, so therefore it's not an employee benefit. So if you're a workplace and you have a reserved spot, one of the tax questions you have to answer to yourself, and the individual question per location is that a benefit then that has to then be part of the W-9s or W-2s for employees if you're giving free charging. So at NIPSCO, all of the facilities at NIPSCO facilities are free to the public to use, as well as employees. So as an employee, I have a great benefit in that I can drive to work and plug in at work and then leave with a full charge. And that's totally free to me. To the extent that we do have people from the public or employees that come from different locations that find the locations are all fully unused. At our workplace, we do have an email system to all of our EV drivers, just letting the EV drivers know, hey, I pulled in today and all of the spots were used. If anyone has the ability to you know, at lunchtime, switch out their vehicle so I can kind of plug in. We use that, and only when needed, when the places are full, but we have used it on occasion. Just and as EV drivers, we all are pretty much open and willing to help each other, you know, leave with that full charge. So we always find someone to move their car once their car is charged, allow someone else to come in and plug in and charge.
Just on that as well, I mean, at the dealership, we also have 2 chargers across the street from our store. The Tri-Town Safety Village has 2 pumps there, which is just catty corner from us, which for clients that maybe or customers that want to go to the movie theaters next door, there's 4 chargers within walking distance of the movie theater. Doctors' offices, I mean, all around Northwest Indiana, and you really start to realize where these stations are at. When you have an EV real fast, they just start jumping out at you. And of course, all the parks up in the lakeshore is kind of nice to go there. And when I'm in an electric vehicle, knowing that I can go up there and have some fun and charge at the same time. So there's plenty of stations. There can always be more, and they're accessible more than people think.
And there are plenty of apps and websites that do show all the charging stations within Northern Indiana and throughout the state. You can always contact any one of us and we'll help you to figure that out if you ever have any questions. I do have one more question, and this can be for all 3 of you. What would you tell someone who may be interested in putting an EV charging at their business or home, but isn't sure where to start?
So this is Kevin. I'll go ahead and start on that. So at your workplace, you have to think about your parking lot itself. So we have a couple options for you. You can connect to your power that goes to your building, of which case then it just goes into your normal NIPSCO workplace bill. And then there's, it can be installed with any electrician. There's different types of manufacturers that's available between ChargePoint, a whole bunch of manufacturers. So you can just do any type of Google search on level 2 charging manufacturers to see what the equipment is, but any type of electrician can install them. If it is more in the parking lot that's away from your building, you may decide as a business to put another excess meter in because it might be cheaper for you on an installation standpoint to connect to the street and just have a second meter. There'll be a meter charge with that on your normal electric bill. You'd have 2 bills then instead of just one because you have a second meter, but that might be a lot cheaper for your installation if your parking lot's much further from where your electric can be connected to your building. And same with your house. There's a lot of home chargers that is available, and any electrician can install these. If you're very handy with electric and feel comfortable, you can do it yourself and save some money. But you can typically buy a charging station at home, anywhere between $300 and $600 for the station, and then installation costs on top of that. Well, one last thing I should mention for the workplaces. There's what's called a networked charger versus we call it dumb charger, and that is that's connected to the internet. One of the nice things as a driver is in your apps, as you start driving around, you can locate the charging stations as well if it's a network station to see if that parking space is open and that port is available or if it's in use. And so you only have that when it's a network station, which is a wonderful thing to have. I recommend all workplaces and public charging stations to be networked, which does add a slight, network fee from the manufacturers, ChargePoint, Green Lots, or typical manufacturers that offer that network service for drivers to be able to see if the station is in use. But it's well worth the expense to have that great EV kind of experience for your drivers.
I've had some of my clients that buy the car with the hopes that their employer will see the benefits of it and have lobbied to get those at their workplaces. So we try to get them in touch with the right people in right groups to get that done. So NIPSCO being the first call they should make, and we've had some success with it. So and they again, once one person seems to get the electric car, the other employees see it, like the benefit, usually park close too.
I would say contact Kevin or Clean Cities. Might be the best first step.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. That seems to be all the questions we have. Does anybody have any, last minute comments, suggestions for people who, just don't know where to start, what they should do first, who to contact, things like that?
Well, I'll go ahead and start, and I just wanted to mention that my comment is that I've been driving EVs now for 2 years, and I absolutely am thrilled. I love it. And every time I go to a stoplight now, I pray that it's red so that I can stop and be that first car. And I get, they call it the Tesla smile, or any type of smile if you're driving an EV, because you have the acceleration feeling, and I just am thrilled every time I drive that car. I just look forward to my driving experience, and I highly recommend people that have not gotten the chance to be behind an EV, no matter which EV type of make and model that you're interested in. They all are unbelievable today. The old kind of EV notions of small range and not that quite great driving experience has all gone away, and you'll just love it. So I highly want people to at least get in front of it and test it for yourself.
Yeah, I would have to agree that the best way to become familiar with an EV is to test drive an EV, whether it be a BMW, Porsche, anything, Tesla. It'll bring all the information we're providing today to life.
Yeah, come into the shop. I'm in the store every day, but Thursday, and schedule an appointment to come and drive. We'll have it all charged up for you. Take it out overnight for the weekend and really see what they can do and get a nice hands-on tour. But we'd be happy to help get you into the electric universe.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for your expertise and just your partnership with South Shore Clean Cities. We do hope to plan some more in-person events and have that opportunity for people to do test drives and to kind of get that hands-on experience. If anybody does have additional questions after today, please feel free to contact any one of us. Our information is on the screen here. Again, all the slides and the recording of today's virtual event will be posted on the South Shore Clean Cities website on our resources page. Thank you again to all the attendees and to all of our speakers. We really appreciate you guys, and we look forward to, partnering more and have more success in the future. We appreciate your time, and thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a great day.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.